From censored files to clear evidence, this is Redacted Realms.
Why are there 500 abandoned buildings in Cambodia's beach city? This is a photo taken in September 2022 showing a herd of buffalo grazing in front of the empty buildings. Specifically, it is located in the Chinatown area of Sihanoukville, Cambodia. Since the Belt and Road Initiative was launched, this southern Cambodian city has received the first wave of investment from Chinese investors. The Chinese government even invested in building dozens of casinos in Sihanoukville, turning this small coastal city into a mini Macau with rapid changes. If so, Sihanoukville's economy should have boomed by now. New urban areas should have sprung up like mushrooms, and people's lives should have become wealthier. But in reality, Cambodia ended up with a sad outcome from the start. And the question is why China left and never returned. In today's video, DHT will help you answer the question and clear up any doubts. Previously, Sihanoukville was a quiet city in southwestern Cambodia and a popular destination for Western backpackers, with beautiful beaches and a poetic atmosphere. However, in just the past few years, Sihanoukville has seen nearly 30 Chinese-operated casinos spring up, not to mention another 70 casinos under construction. Of course, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and it's not for nothing that China was willing to spend such a large amount of money to invest in a small Cambodian city. It's all related to the Belt and Road Initiative, abbreviated as BRI, one of President Xi Jinping's grandest pet projects, after becoming China's top leader since its launch in 2013. This initiative has been defined as a national strategy with global reach. The core of the Belt and Road Initiative lies in China's involvement in all the infrastructure projects they invest in. Among these infrastructure projects, the prominent and focused one, building high-speed railways, expressways, hydroelectric dams, seaports, and air, of course, to persuade countries to participate. The project's goals had to be extremely grand. It is known that the project will help connect the seaports in southern China, using Guangdong province as the maritime trade hub. On the other hand, from these seaports and warehouses connecting to branches and road routes, forming a network linking China with other countries and between countries themselves, via land, sea, and their interconnections, creating a chain of exchanges, transit hubs, and infrastructure links between China and Europe, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and even India and Africa. It has been over 10 years since its implementation. The Belt and Road Initiative has brought considerable power to China and turned the country into the world's largest creditor. The speed of these Silk Roads implementation is so fast that Google Earth hasn't even had time to record them. Yet high-rise buildings and highways have appeared across countries. However, any project implemented will encounter problems, and the Belt and Road Initiative is no exception. However, this is a problem not only big for the countries participating in the project, specifically, and also a problem for the globe. The COVID-19 outbreak caused some setbacks in China's participation. Due to focusing on resolving the health crisis and restarting domestic economic activity, China no longer prioritizes foreign trade and investment activities. What they are concerned about right now is how to deal with the domestic health crisis, as the pandemic has spread worldwide. This has had a very strong impact on countries dependent on financial resources and investment from China to maintain economic growth, one of which is Cambodia. Owning a coastal location on the Gulf of Thailand, Sihanoukville became a prosperous city in the mid-2010s due to the wave of Chinese investment, and with the promise that the entire building would be completed by 2021 and generate about 20 million reals, equivalent to over 124 million Vietnamese dong per month in land. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, investors returned to China and said they could not come back to Cambodia. According to Cambodia's Ministry of Tourism in 2023, the country attracted only about 500, a 77% decrease compared to 2019. Among them, only 15,754 passengers arrived at Sihanoukville. Last year, a 98% drop from 2019. The Cambodian government began tightening control over casinos, along with a decline in Chinese real estate causing ongoing projects to suddenly halt. Thus, hundreds of ghost buildings were constructed and are now left vacant. According to the city authorities, there are currently about 360 unfinished buildings and about 170 others completed. However, it cannot be denied that the coastal city of Cambodia has transformed with an influx of tourists, foreign investment, and booming economy, thereby creating more jobs for local. Nevertheless, not all residents are satisfied with such rapid development. Because from another perspective, in a city filled with glamour like Sihanoukville, local businesses are struggling to keep their operations going. Hundreds of Cambodian family businesses have had to close in the past year. Many business premises were reclaimed as landlords preferred to rent to Chinese entrepreneurs, who would pay 5 times the rent. The situation worsened as local businesses lost their traditional customer base, which were Western tourists who used to come to explore the natural scenery. At the beginning of last year, about 120,000 Chinese tourists came to Sihanoukville, 4 times more than so budget Western backpackers no longer visit Sihanoukville. Some places in the city that were once planned for flight routes have now turned into online sand centers. And local people who leased land to investors hoping for long-term rental income are now very confused. Therefore, Prime Minister Hun Sen announced tax exemption policies to save East Coastville to avoid dependence on China, but so far, the results have not been very promising. Now, to better understand the story behind it, we can look back at Cambodia's miraculous development in recent years, despite projects leaving consequences like in Sihanoukville. Cambodia still consistently supports China's Belt and Road policy. They even believe it improves relations between the superpower China and Asian countries as well as the world. And by expanding trade, this initiative has helped Cambodia develop further. The following numbers will surprise you quite a bit, as according to data from Cambodia's Ministry of Economy and Finance, the Cambodian government recorded a total public debt of $10.27 billion as of the end of Q1 2023. A 2.8% increase from the same period in 2022, when Cambodia had a public debt of $9.99 billion, with nearly half of the debt coming from loans. Despite criticisms that the implementation of this project affects the environment and socioeconomic conditions, from 2013 to now, Cambodia's infrastructure sector alone has significantly developed through the implementation of China's Belt and Road policy. Moreover, Cambodia is considered the newest player in world trade through its export garment and footwear industry, which is why Cambodia always staunchly defends its big brother China. And if not relying on China, who would Cambodia rely on? On the other hand, we must thank China, as the pandemic has severely damaged the BRI. But China still managed to adapt extremely quick. To put it precisely, those difficulties help us scale the Belt and Road Initiative, shift from traditional infrastructure development thinking to more lean and modern efforts. Let's look at China. The idea initiated by China about a global public health program is not new, as the country has signed agreements with the World Health Organization, committing to make health a focus of the Belt and Road Initiative. The main purpose of this idea is to help developing countries build stronger public health systems through the WHO for medical consultation, providing medical equipment to financial aid for countries, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, China had devised additional strategies, but the COVID-19 pandemic caused some setbacks. Its ambition to become the world. However, on the other hand, this pandemic also brought China some other opportunities. In 2020, Chinese technology companies introduced numerous 5G-based medical services and helped build 5G networks both domestically and internationally to connect medical staff and patients with experts. The Green Silk Road, now called China's Green Silk Road, though receiving less attention, could become important in the future. Because so far, this project has not been supported and has not brought economic, and has even caused environmental pollution like some dams and dirty coal plants. However, by 2020, 57% of China's investment projects in energy infrastructure were focused on renewable energy to protect the environment. In summary, overall, the Belt and Road Initiative is moving towards developing health, technology, and green energy. However, to participate in this project, countries need to have a cautious view and carefully consider to avoid unwanted risks. This video ends here. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to Redacted Realms channel and hit the bell to get the latest video notification. For now, goodbye and see you again. Subscribe to D2T channel so you don't miss exciting videos.
If this file opened your eyes, subscribe and open the next case.